Hello, welcome along to my channel. Now I am currently standing in what is my 6-year-old daughter Lottie's bedroom, and we're going to be giving this space a massive makeover. It hasn't been decorated since we moved in a few years ago, so I'm super excited to get cracking with this project. So my theme for this space is retro ice cream parlour, and I ran it by Lottie before putting together a mood board just to double check that she's happy with that theme, and thankfully she is, so I'm so chuffed to bits with that. So I'm going to go for lots of candy floss pinks, lemon sherbets, maybe some mint greens as well, and I just think all those colours are going to look so lovely with one another. And I'm going to do a lovely stripy ceiling and inject some patterns into the room scheme as well. And I'd really like to take you guys on the journey with me, so I hope you enjoy following along. Do leave messages in the comments below and let me know what you think. Here goes! So my inspiration for Lottie's room scheme is a shop in Edinburgh we always go to called Mary's Milk Bar. It's the cutest little ice cream shop and we just love going there. I just really love the way that the owners designed it. I love her retro colour palette and it's just so fun and playful and you just never want to leave. So here is a little tour of what Lottie's room currently looks like. I actually quite like this wallpaper, it's very cottagecore, but this room definitely needs some modernisation and a little Rachel magic. Whenever I design rooms, I always try and highlight the character in the space and make a feature of it. 70s houses like ours don't come with much character, so you really need to make the most of what you get. Lottie has this really lovely sloped ceiling, and I knew as soon as I saw her bedroom when we were viewing this house, I wanted to do something with this and make it part of the design. She has 2 cupboards in her room and they've both got these really horrible 70s dark brown doors. So my plan is to upcycle these and bring them back to life. I try to be as sustainable as possible with my design approach and try to work with what I have rather than buy new. I am, however, going to replace these cupboard doors because they are really stiff and tricky to open. I'm thinking a curtain would work really well here and add a bit more softness to the room. I'm not going to throw these doors out though, I'm going to pop some hairpin legs onto them and turn them into an office desk. That'll be my next project. So the first step is to do all the prep, which is the step I hate the most, but it's got to be done, hasn't it? So we stripped all the wallpaper using a steamer, which is way much easier than doing it by hand. Got all the skirtings and the window frames and the radiator sanded down, and now it's time to line the walls. So the lining paper is all up now and it's time to block in all of the main colours. I'm working with a palette of candy floss pink, gluten free, which is a creamy off-white shade, elderflower green and lemon sherbet. I chose these colours not only because they fit in well with my theme, but they are also just really lovely and fresh and contemporary. When designing children's rooms, I think pastels work really well. Kids tend to respond positively to lighter colours. You want to avoid using dark hues. You want their space to reflect them after all. You want it to be fun, bright and playful, just like them. Also, by going for a light, bright palette, you can help to open up a room and make it feel a lot larger than it actually is. So we have painted one of the walls with the candy floss pink and it is already starting to look so much better. I've also painted the woodwork in this colour. Painting all of your woodwork can help to add lots of visual interest and character to your room. Painting these areas will help to make the room feel a lot bigger to the eye. This is something to consider if you live in the likes of a newer build home where the rooms tend to be smaller and boxier shaped and you don't have those high ceilings or cornices. Also, painting the woodwork in pastel shades will give you just enough colour to make a statement without overwhelming the space. I've now started to block in the elderflower green, which is a really lovely shade. It actually reminds me of pistachio ice cream, which is one of my favourite flavours. So on the other side of the room, I've decided to do a checkerboard pattern because this is something that you would come across in a retro style ice cream parlour. I've chosen lemon sherbet to do the design in as it gives a Battenberg cake look, which brings more sugar vibes to the room scheme. So all I have done is cut out a square cardboard template
and I'm drawing around this lightly with a pencil, making sure that I take my time to line it all up properly. What you could do though, which would be a lot easier, is use a laser level once you've marked out all your measurements, and then mark the wall using that as a guide. I probably should have done this, but I always like to make things more difficult for myself. I then hand painted and blocked in all of the squares, starting with the lemon sherbet paint, and then I moved on to the gluten free. I could have sectioned off the squares using frog tape and then blocked in the paint using a roller, but I didn't want the squares to look too defined, and I quite like hand painting. I find it quite therapeutic. So I mentioned earlier in this video that I wanted to make a feature of the sloped ceiling we have in this space, so I thought, why don't I do stripes to give the effect of an ice cream shop awning? To create this look, we firstly measured the ceiling and divided it up into 15cm even strips and marked these out with frog tape. I say we, my dad came to help me at this point because this was definitely a two-man job. One person had to hold the tape at one side of the ceiling whilst the other stretched it across to the opposite side. My dad also created this to help adhere the tape. It's basically a foam roller attached to the top of a broom, but it totally did the trick. We then blocked in the ceiling using a lovely bright pink paint. I applied 2 coats with a wide paintbrush, and then I carefully removed all of the frog tape. To create the lovely scalloped effect, I simply cut out a template from cardboard, drew around this lightly with a pencil, and then I blocked in all of my colours. It was then time to move on to the upcycling jobs and add in all of the little details. When it comes to creating spaces, I'm all about the details. Homemade wares and upcycle creations help to give a space a personal feel. They add that little bit of magic and make the room completely unique. I took Lottie's cupboard door downstairs and I gave it a good sand and 2 coats of Zinsser primer. I always use this as I find it to be the best primer for wood surfaces. I then painted it with the lemon sherbet. I also painted the top of Lottie's cupboard using the lemon sherbet, and I painted her radiator as well. Before I painted it, I gave it 2 coats of special primer that's suitable for radiators. I really wanted to create a little seating area in Lottie's bedroom like the ones that you get in ice cream shops, and this would be a little dress up and pamper station for her. I sourced these vintage stools on eBay. I think they were about £40 for the pair, gave them a good sand down and primed them with Zinsser as well, and then painted them in the same colours as the walls. I just love shopping second hand. Sourcing and transforming pre-loved items is like my favourite thing to do in the whole wide world. You really don't need a big budget to buy new furniture for your kid's bedroom. All you need is a little time and a little imagination. I also asked my father-in-law to make this lovely fold-out oval wooden table that I painted in candy floss pink, and he also cut out a wooden plaque which I hand painted and turned into an ice cream sign. Another thing I wanted to make was an ice cream menu, so I put this together on Photoshop. Lottie chose all of the flavours, and then I printed it out onto A2 paper and popped it in a lovely bright pink frame. And here it is, the completed space. What a joy this has been to work on. I put my heart and soul into this project. It was such a labour of love, but such an enjoyable process, and it's been so lovely to see my vision and creative ideas come to fruition. I've accessorised the room with lots of vibrant wares and soft furnishings that tie in with my theme. You will find all of the links to these products in my description. I ended up adding lots of patterns, some stripes, some checks and polka dots, but I think they all work really well with one another. You can never have too much pattern anyway, can you? I love this palette of lemon sherbet, candy floss pink, mint green, hot pink and elderflower green. It's joyful, gentle and refreshing, and it sparks memories of happy summer times. It's so important when designing rooms that you repeat the same colours throughout the space and keep your colour palette consistent. This will give you a lovely seamless look. Your room decor will flow really nicely and there will be a sense of harmony. This space is bursting with joy now, and Lottie loves spending time in it. It never fails to put a smile on her little face, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you next time.